What up? What up? It's the Enveonline podcast. You're rocking with your host, one half, Deshaun, aka Son of a Jones.
And his co-partner, CEO of Envy, Azar Johnson.
Man, let's get it rocking, man. This is episode 10.
Okay.
Yo, we've been planning this for a while, so I'm glad to see us being persistent and staying with it, man. Before you know it, we're going to blink. It's going to be episode 100.
Facts.
So
Super facts.
we got a couple topics that we're going to discuss. This is going to be a shorter podcast. Some of our podcasts are sometimes 2 hours long. We're going to keep this within an hour. So we're going to go over CAA football as usual because we cover the CAA football conference. Got a couple NFL topics. We got a couple hip-hop topics. So how you want to start this off?
As always, go where we appreciate it.
Okay.
And never tolerate it.
Well, pardon me. Let's start off with CAA football. So we just covered UAlbany versus a HBCU Hampton over the past week, and it was UAlbany's homecoming.
Yeah.
That game went down to the wire. I want to shout out both teams. As the coach said, somebody had to win, somebody had to lose. Shout out to Coach Robert. I want to pronounce his last name right, Prunty, if that's how you're pronouncing it. That's
Facts.
the head coach of Hampton who made that statement. Hampton, unfortunately, stole homecoming at the UAlbany and KC Stadium, 38-37. It was a thriller all the way down to the overtime, man. So just to paint the atmosphere, homecoming, so packed. You know, they had a dope halftime show.
Facts.
Dancers, performers, you know, Alpha Theta. I want to get the pronunciation correct for the fraternities.
Yeah, that was big.
That was
impressive.
big. That was big because we're big into HBCU culture, and that's something that, you know, the HBCU's been doing, the halftime performances with the black fraternities.
Right.
So I was happy to see those fraternities come out and do their thing at halftime. So that was the atmosphere with UAlbany for homecoming. The game started off, I'm being honest, I was looking, I was like, yo, UAlbany's about to get this. They started off running, jumped out to a 7-0 lead with Reese hitting Greeny. And I'm like, here we go.
Right.
And it kept going that way. Before I get too deep into my thoughts, I want you to take on how the game started and what did you see to start the game off for that?
It looked like a back and forth matchup. Maybe Greeny was definitely listening to you because he definitely, after the previous week performance, he definitely stepped it up. It all changed. But I think, you know, I mean, do you want to talk? You want me to go into like everything I saw or just the first half?
Just the first half.
I mean, it was looking like to go UAlbany's way, even though Hampton, you know, was hanging in there with them. It was definitely going UAlbany's way, and it was looking good until the second half started. Well, not until the third quarter started. That's
late third quarter.
Yeah. Matter of fact, fourth quarter. Yeah.
And that's the heartbreaker for me because we're media, so we're being fair to all teams in the CAA. But our home base is UAlbany, man. So
Facts.
I wanted to see UAlbany win that. A lot of players stepped up. I want to give a shout out to not just the offensive players. I saw some good things from defense. Shout out to the young man, Elijah Hills. I want to say he has an S at the end of his name. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, my apologies. But shout out to the young brother, Elijah Hills, which is the defensive. He's a defensive tackle. He had about 2 or 3, 2 sacks, and I want to say 3 or 4 tackles. But the defense was rocking in that first half. I don't know what happened going into the fourth quarter, but I definitely saw good things from the defense that I didn't see from Monmouth. So I want to be fair. Defense definitely stepped up in some ways. The same thing with the offense.
Yeah, facts. I you know, the defense did their thing. But for whatever reason, it just looked like a replay from the previous game. We was in New Jersey covering the game in Monmouth. that it was the previous outcome.
Yeah, but they were in control. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. They weren't in control in Monmouth. They were in control here.
Right.
You don't want to go pointing fingers because you're down 1-4, 1-5. Mm-hmm. You don't want to start playing the blame game.
Right.
You win as a team, you lose as a team.
Facts.
In my opinion, I want the young student athletes to stay positive during this time and not keep your head down so much and try to take away. To me, failure is a good learning tool.
Right.
If you don't learn from failure, you're not doing something right. Mm-hmm. So that's the positive in this.
Right.
Yes, you're down 1-5. Mm-hmm. You definitely did, lost a tough one. Mm-hmm. But what can you learn from this game? So that's where I want to spend a few minutes. What do you think the student athletes at UAlbany can learn from this?
Well, one, offensively, let's start with the positive. Offensively, they know they can score. They're capable of getting up on teams, which we saw in Fordham, high-powered offensive teams, and getting stops. The word I want to use with them is that what they can learn is that they're capable and they're skillful and they have a lot of talent to be just as good as the team that's on the top, which is New Hampshire right now at the point. Now, the flip side of that is, the bad side is that the word is they're not consistent.
Okay.
They get stops, but then they don't consistently get stops. And then also, like you said, you can't just blame one person. You got to blame both. So offensive-wise, for whatever reason, it just went downhill in the fourth quarter. They seemed like they couldn't get nothing going. Then they went for it in overtime, and then they couldn't get nothing going. I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk about it. We'll get there. But let's just say this. They weren't consistent in offense, and in defense, they weren't consistent in getting stops. And I think primarily it has to deal with that secondary.
Okay.
That secondary it's like what Coach Gatso said at the press conference. He's like, we were playing cover 3, and we still couldn't stop the deep ball.
So I'm more of a basketball person as far as defensive coverages and so forth. You're very good on with football. When you say cover 3, break that down for the people that's going to watch this on the playback.
Cover 3 is basically the corner and both safeties drop back. There's 3 guys in the backfield. And then there's one person on single coverage. So even that guy that's on single coverage, he shouldn't. That's your best corner, because Legion of Boom used to play it. But the cover 3. There's 3 guys back there. They can't get the deep ball. Basically, there's 3 guys back there to make sure the deep ball never happens. And for whatever reason, I never forgot, because the play happened right in front of me. I wish I had my phone at the time. Oh my God, the quarterback, Malcolm Mays. Yes. He went deep, and I don't have my notes in front of me, which I apologize.
Is this the one where he hit Julius Bonds?
He hit him deep right in the end zone.
Okay, I got that
right
play.
In the end zone, right in front of me, and it was crazy, because they were playing a cover 3, and the safeties or the corners look confused back there. That at this stage in the season shouldn't be happening. So they got to get deep. It's the fourth quarter. They're down by 14. They have to come down the field. So if you keep them in front and make them methodically move down the field, it's going to work. I don't know how they got deep balls. Hampton should have kept trying to figure out. They should have kept, even when I noticed, this is the thing I noticed about them. When they got midfield, they started going deep. The minute they started methodically moving down the field, they started going deep. I know what Goss was trying to do. He's trying to keep them working. And instead, when they got to midfield, they said, oh, no, we're going for the juggler. Went deep and scored.
What did I tell you when we was pulling up for that game?
Yeah, you
said, I said, before we got out, I said, Azar, there's a wide receiver that plays for Hampton. His name is Jadakiss Bonds. UAlbany needs to pay attention to number 81. In the first half, we saw him trying to get going. But he wasn't getting going to the second half. The second half, he was on full display.
Right.
And speaking to the deep balls that he caught, first downs, the completions, yeah. Can we talk briefly, while we're still on this topic, how they switched quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Because UAlbany defense was, I can curse, they was on his ass.
They locked him down. The first quarterback. Malcolm came in there.
The coach noticed it. Had Coach Robert Prunty and obviously the defensive coach. They adjusted properly.
Yep.
They adjusted properly.
Yeah.
Brought in Malcolm Mays, trusted him. I want you to speak to that.
No, and you know what else makes that ill? Because then you got him going to Jadakiss. And Jadakiss did exactly what you told me he was going to do. And it looked like complete. You know what? When they were playing a cover 3, that's probably what was the problem. See, it's like what DeAndre Hopkins talked about today when he was coming back. He said, last season I didn't do the numbers I usually do, but I got other guys open. So, meaning in other words, when Jadakiss did his thing, they were playing cover, but they know we got to keep our eye on Jadakiss. And what Malcolm betted on was like, my guy can beat your guy in those other matchups. That's what happened. I can tell you now, they did the right defense. They just didn't play it right. You know, you got to have faith that they can sit back there and hold Jadakiss too. So you can't just, because I started noticing they start rolling their defense towards him. And then that let other guys open. So and to answer your question, I'm sorry, just in case it doesn't see, Malcolm kind of did that. Malcolm saw it. He saw certain things and he exploited it.
So this is definitely also a salute to Hampton's quarterback Malcolm Mays, because sometimes when you sit on the bench, you can be a little out of it. So he obviously was watching in the first half, and he also adjusted and knew right where to pick him off at. So big salute to Malcolm Mays for reading the coverages and lighting it up, man. It's a testament to how good Hampton is in a CAA conference as a HBCU.
Okay. And yeah. I want to get into it real quick because I know we were talking about the game overall. I think what was bothersome to me, and I'm not criticizing anybody, I think when you're because they're 1-5 now, but I think when you're 1-4, you're looking for something, and you got to do something. So I mean, maybe a tie wouldn't have been great, but it'd have been better than catching another loss. And they went for it, and they said they had talked about it all week. If that's what was going to happen, they were going to go for it, but it didn't work out well. And shouts out to Hampton for getting the stops. I want to say that the reason why this is important, I still think UAlbany can win in the next 4 games. I really think they're capable of doing it. They can have a compliment season, meaning that it was better than what the outcome of it was last season. But they're just going to have to make those corrections. They don't have a bye week anymore. They just got to reset. And I wonder also, too, you got to remember, they came off that bye week. I remember they got that win.
Yep,
they came off that bye week and then in Monmouth. And then now this week. And so I'm just wondering, did that play a certain part? You know, guys will say, you know, when I asked him, you know, he kind of had made a good point. He said, we don't play nobody that we like. We play guys that can do the best. And because I asked him, I said, we're going to see maybe a little change here to kind of send a message like, yo, look, you don't do your job, I'll find somebody else to do it. Because that could be coming. You know, I mean, you can't keeping the same guys in there and letting them get lit like that. To Hampton's point is what I'm happy about seeing them, because, you know, we're objective in everything. You know, they were HBCU. They were 3-0, beating the other teams that they were supposed to beat. And then they came into the CAA. Delaware kind of put it on them 35-3. Then they lost to Maine 31-24. It kind of seemed like they were adjusting to this level of play. And then to UAlbany, they adjusted. And now they're sitting at 4-2.
In the middle of the pack.
In the middle of the pack, and that's big. That's really big. You know what I mean? So I think salutes to Hampton, because I think with the HBCUs, it's got to be just more than we're in the SWAC, we're in the MEAC. We need somebody that says, here, look, we're not in the SWAC and the MEAC, and we can still play with these other schools. So I think that salute to them for showcasing that. And, you know, it is what it is. I hope because they got Richmond this week, and Richmond's no joke either. So, you know, we'll see how that works out.
Hell of a game, like I said. Shout out to both teams. Shout out to both sets of student athletes. Big salute to Hampton. They pulled it off. Salute to head coach Robert Prunty. Salute to Malcolm Mays, and Jadakiss Bonds and all the students. And on UAlbany side, you guys stay together. Don't hang your head. There's still how many games left in the season? About 5?
Yeah, it's 5 games.
5 games in the season. Like I said before, a couple minutes ago, failure is a great learning tool if you know how to use it right. Learn from it, watch film, go back and get it. All right.
I just want to say also too, salute to the top 4 teams. I think William & Mary was off, and so was Delaware. But New Hampshire is at 5-2.
Delaware
is 5-1. Elon is in 3rd at 5-2, and William & Mary's in 4th at 5-1. And also down there, if you look in the middle of the pack,
Rhode Island's
at 4-2, and I kept saying
so this tiebreaker between them and Richmond is going to be big.
Hampton and Richmond, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. And it just goes to show my point with Rhode Island. They got a big win this week. I forgot who they just defeated. They got a pick. I forgot. It was a big thing in CAA, but the defense stepped up and they did what they had to do.
Rhode Island beat Elon.
Yeah, that was big.
17-10.
That was big. So it goes a sign of what we said earlier and then the clips we talked about is who do you think was a team that was coming? And I said
You picked Rhode Island.
Definitely Rhode Island.
Got that.
Yeah.